Hello, third graders. Welcome to our lesson today. Today we're going to talk about another group of non-flowering plants. So we've learned about conifers. Remember, conifers make cones, and from the cones, once they get their pollen, they release their seeds. They grow all over. They have those tiny needles instead of broad leaves. So today we're going to talk about ferns. I'm in our plant reading packet on page 74 under the section on ferns, and I'm in our questions packet on page 85. And just like we've been doing, we're going to start off with those true-false questions. So there's two statements. We're going to decide if they are true or false based off of what we think we know. Statement number 1 says, some kinds of ferns can grow attached to parts of trees. Do you think that's true or false? Fill in what you think. Our second sentence says, most ferns grow in hot, sunny areas. Again, fill in your true, false. All right, let's get started. So let's go ahead and look in our reading packet first. Ferns are non-flowering plants that reproduce using spores. And we looked at spores up close. Remember, they release the spores into the air. Ferns have lots of tiny leaves. These leaves are part of a larger structure called a frond. So the main part of the branch is called a frond, and then on it are all the leaves. Ferns grow in warm, damp, shady places. There's an answer to our true false. They grow in warm, damp, shady places. Most ferns grow in the ground, but some kinds can grow attached to the trunk or branches of a tree. There's another answer to our true false. Let's look at some pictures of ferns. So this is the frond, and then there are the leaves. And you can see that all these ferns have different kinds of leaves, but they're all classified as being a fern because they have those big leaves with spores underneath. Okay. They grow on the tops of the branches like this because they need to get the light. And then also when the spores grow underneath, the gravity will pull them down to the ground so that they can reproduce and make a new plant. Here is another picture of a fern growing on a branch of a tree. Notice it's growing on the top branch of the tree towards the sunlight, not on the bottom of the branch. Here is a close-up of a fern baby. This is actually what we call a fiddlehead. A fiddlehead is the beginning of the leaf when it's still curled up. So this is what it looks like as it's curled up. It's come out of its spore, grown in the ground, and it hasn't yet opened to make the full fern. So when a fern starts to grow, it looks very different from an adult. Here's a beginning growing, here's an adult. When ferns poke through the ground, they have a curly top on them. This curly top is called a fiddlehead, this shape. And that's one of your questions today. What's a fiddlehead? It's the curly top on the beginning of a fern as it's a baby. These leaves then uncurl and grow into the adult fern. All right, so today we talked all about our second group of non-flowering plants, ferns. We will meet again to talk about our third group called mosses, liverworts, and hornworts.